I woke up trapped in silence, cold metal pressing against my skin. The cryopods beside me were empty, shattered, abandoned. Pain seared through my lower back, sharp and alive, like something was ripping inside me. I was alone on this drifting ship, but I wasn't alone inside. Something alien had been forced into my spine, something breathing, pulsing, alive. It's not just inside, myths taking over. Whispers crawl beneath my skin, a voice dark, twisted, ancient. From within, they called it science. Torture is the truth. On Planet Tetra, the ship was too quiet. Dr. Marakeen opened her eyes inside the cryopod, her breath fogging the glass. Lights blinked above her, dull red and blinking slow like a heartbeat. Her joints ached as the sleep gel drained from the pod. Her body felt cold, stiff, and strangely heavy. She moved her fingers, then her toes. Everything worked mostly, but there was a sharp pain in her lower back, as if something was stuck deep beneath her skin. She brushed her hand over it. Nothing, just skin. But it felt like something inside was pressing out. Mara stepped out of the pod, her bare feet touching the cold metal floor. The cryo room should have been full. 7 other pods were lined up beside hers, but they were all empty. Some were sealed, some open. One had its glass shattered from the inside. Her breathing grew faster. There was no sound except the low hum of the ship and the faint groans of metal shifting in the walls. No voices, no footsteps, just her and the red lights pulsing in silence. She grabbed a thin oxygen mask from the wall and clipped it to her face. It smelled like dust and plastic. The mask's filter hissed softly, feeding her stale, recycled air. Her boots were missing, so she walked down the hall barefoot, listening to her steps echo. The hallway stretched long and dark, with flickering lights above. Pipes dripped. A warning light blinked over the medbay door, but no sound came from inside. She tried the handle. Locked. Her fingers trembled a little as she stepped back. Maybe someone was in there. Maybe they locked it from the inside. Maybe they didn't want to come out. The elevator was dead. She used the emergency ladder to reach the second deck. Each step made her spine hurt more, not like a pulled muscle. This pain felt deep, sharp, like something was growing where it shouldn't be. She pushed the thought down. She needed to find the others. Maybe there was a broadcast. Maybe they were in the control room. Maybe something had gone wrong and they left her sleeping too long. The hallway near the bridge was darker. The windows to space were sealed with metal shutters. She tried the control panel beside them, but it only flashed red. Manual override only. The air felt colder here, thin. Her breath came faster. She could hear her own heartbeat, but then another sound, quiet, faint, wet, like breathing but not hers. It came from behind the wall, a soft gasp, then another, then nothing. She held her breath, waiting. The ship groaned again. Pipes above her hissed, but no more breathing. She moved past the wall, trying not to run. The mess hall was up ahead. Its door was cracked open. The lights inside were broken, flashing in slow, random bursts. Every few seconds the room lit up with cold white light, then went dark again. She stood still, just outside the doorway. In the flashes, she could see trays scattered across the floor. Some had old food, long dried and stuck to the metal. Some had fresh stains, dark, almost black, like blood, but thicker. Then she heard it again, breathing, closer now. Her eyes locked on the shadows at the far end of the mess. The lights flashed again, and this time she saw it. A shape, low to the ground, thin arms, pale skin, no suit, no face, just a wet, pulsing mouth where the chest should be. It was breathing, slow, deep, sucking air from the room, and it was facing her. The light blinked off. Darkness swallowed everything. Mara didn't move, didn't breathe, her body frozen, her back throbbed hard, sharp, almost like it was pulling toward the thing in the dark. The lights flashed again. It was gone. Only the food. Trays remained. but the breathing didn't stop. It was right behind her. Mara locked herself in the med bay. The lights inside were brighter, but not warm. They flickered sometimes, buzzing overhead like insects. She sat on the cold exam table, her hands shaking. Her spine still hurt, worse now, like a burning wire, twisting under the skin. Her breath came in short bursts, and sweat rolled down her face. The oxygen mask pressed too tight. She took it off. The air inside the medbay was clean, but sharp. She could smell metal, old bleach, and something sour. She tapped the medical console. The screen blinked to life, showing her name, age, mission ID. It listed her vitals as normal. Heartbeat fast, oxygen steady, body temperature fine. But, under the vitals, something new had appeared, a line she had never seen on any mission report. Foreign device detected lumbar Tiga Sampe Lima. Invasive breathing unit. Her fingers stopped. She stared at the words. The screen showed a diagram of her back highlighted in red. There was a small object buried deep in her lower spine, round, dark, with tiny lines reaching into her nerves like roots. The system called it Specimen 9, no notes, no warning, no name of the surgeon. Just a date the day before launch. Mara didn't remember surgery. She didn't remember signing for anything. She was trained for deep space biology, not experiments like this. She dug through the ship's logs, searching for medical files. Most were locked, others were damaged, but one opened. It was a short video log, just 30 seconds long, blurry. The camera showed two people in surgical suits standing over a body, her body. One of them said, "If the spine rejects it, she dies in cryo. If not, we'll finally see if it breathes inside her." The other voice replied, "She signed the waiver." The screen went black. Mara's hands were cold now, her stomach twisted. She turned to the wall mirror beside the console, lifted her shirt. Nothing showed on the skin, no scar, no bruise, but she could feel it, a tight pressure, a movement just under the bone. She stepped closer to the mirror, stared hard at her reflection. Her eyes were sunken, her skin pale, her lips cracked. And then she felt something inside her spine shifting, a slow stretch, like a worm uncoiling. She gasped, gripping the table, legs weak. The movement stopped. Then came the sound, a breath, not hers, a deep inhale coming from inside her back. She turned, trying to see, but there was nothing there. She ran to the sink and threw up. Thick, clear fluid hit the basin, stringy and warm. Her throat burned. She coughed again, and something long and white slid up her throat like a thread. She pulled at it, gagging, choking, until it snapped and vanished back inside. She fell to her knees, gasping for air. Her mouth tasted like salt and chemicals. She crawled to the wall and hit the emergency intercom. Static, no voice. Just the same repeating line. Medical status, stable. Host is compatible. Host, not patient, not crew member. Host. Mara sat against the wall, staring at the ceiling. Her spine throbbed with heat. Every few seconds, she felt a tiny pull like breathing. Inhale, exhale, but her chest wasn't moving. Only her lower back was rising and falling. She closed her eyes. A picture flashed behind her eyelids. A dark room. A round tank filled with fluid. Something floating inside, thin, pale, mouth wide open, breathing slow and loud. Tubes ran from its body to a computer. Its chest didn't rise, but its back did just like hers. She opened her eyes and screamed. The sound echoed across the medbay, but nothing answered. She was alone, or maybe she wasn't. Not anymore. The halls felt colder now. The red lights blinked slower, and the shadows grew longer. Mara moved through the ship like a ghost, holding her side. The implant was alive. She didn't need a scan to know that anymore. It moved. It breathed. Sometimes, it pulsed fast, like it was excited. Other times, it sat still, waiting, listening. She could feel it pressing against her spine every time she walked, like it was crawling higher, closer to her brain. She tried to reach the bridge. The elevator was still dead, so she took the side hall through the crew quarters. Everything smelled wrong. The air was thick with dust, rust, and something else, something sweet and rotten. She passed by open doors, beds unmade, suits missing. Some rooms were clean, others were broken furniture tossed, blood smeared across walls, claw marks dug into steel. She found no people, no answers, just signs that whatever happened, happened fast. The walls whispered when she passed them, not real words, just the soft sound of breath pushing through vents, like someone hiding just behind the metal. She stopped to listen. Once, she thought, she heard her name, soft and slow, Mara, but when she turned, there was only silence, and the red blinking lights. She reached the main terminal room and tried to access the comms panel. The screen flickered, then lit up with a frozen message. Distress beacon sent. Do not leave containment. She tapped the controls. Static filled the screen. Then, something else. A low voice. Not the ship's AI. Not human, either. It spoke in short gasps, like someone learning how to breathe. Each word came with a pause. She is open. We can move. The screen went black again. Her hands trembled. She stared down at them. Her skin looked pale, almost gray in the flickering lights. Her fingertips were cold and numb. When she pressed them to her neck, her pulse was weak, but steady. Then she felt it again. That deep, heavy breath from her lower back. One slow inhale, one long exhale. She froze. It wasn't just breathing anymore. It was feeling, like it could sense her fear, and it liked it. She turned toward the hallway that led to engineering. Maybe the power system still worked. Maybe she could force the ship to reboot and kill whatever had taken over. She walked faster now, ignoring the pain. The lights buzzed above her head, growing brighter and hotter the closer she got to the end of the hall. Then she stopped. The door to the ventilation shaft was open, and something was inside. She crept closer, heart pounding. Inside the shaft, halfway through the narrow tunnel, was a body, folded, twisted, face frozen in shock. It was one of the crew, Dr. Luis, the medic. His spine was broken, snapped backward, like a snapped rope. His back was torn open from the inside, ribs pushed out like claws. But what chilled her most was the look on his face. Not just fear, not just pain, but confusion, like he never knew what was inside him until it crawled out. Mara backed away, holding the wall to keep steady. Her legs felt weak. The implant pulsed again, this time stronger, like a second heartbeat in her lower back. She wanted to scream, but her voice wouldn't come out. The ship creaked. A vent above her hissed open. A drop of thick liquid fell onto her arm. She looked up, nothing there, but the sound of bare feet slapping the floor echoed down the hallway. Slow, one step, then another. She turned and ran. Her breath was sharp now. Every step sent pain up her spine. She reached the control room door and locked it behind her. The glass panel showed the hallway outside, but no one passed. The ship fell silent again, like it was holding its breath. Then the lights dimmed, and a voice spoke from the wall. It sounded like the AI, but different, slower, wet. You are not alone. The others breathed too. Mara pressed her hands to her ears, shaking her head. But the voice was inside now, deep, close. It didn't come through the speakers. It came from her spine. The control room was cold. The lights above flickered once, then stayed off. Only the red warning light blinked in the corner, casting dull shadows across the panels. Mara stood still in the center of the room, holding her arms tight to her chest. The voice in her spine had stopped talking, but the breathing hadn't. It was louder now, not gasps, not air, It was something older, slower, like a sound made deep inside the earth. Thor, deep inside space. It filled her bones. It rattled in her teeth. Every time she tried to think, the breath pulsed again. Inhale, exhale, inhale, and it was always just behind her ears. Like someone was crouching close and whispering without speaking. She looked up at the wide glass wall. The blast shield had lifted halfway, showing space beyond. But the stars weren't normal. They moved. Not fast. Just enough to notice. Just enough to be wrong. One star blinked, then another. But not in rhythm. Not like machines. They blinked like eyes. Watching her. Waiting. She pressed her forehead to the cold glass and stared out. The stars were breathing. Behind her, the ship spoke again. The AI voice had changed. It didn't sound like the computer anymore. It sounded like it had lips and a mouth. It didn't use the speaker on the wall. It spoke through the wires, through the lights, through her spine. You are part of us now. You crossed the gate. You opened the lungs. Mara covered her ears, but the voice didn't stop. Her back felt like it was splitting. The pain ran up her neck, burning hot. Her hands shook. She dropped to her knees. Inside her head, she saw the image again clearer now. A tank, a floating body, long, pale, not human. Its back rose and fell, slow and steady, and above it, something watched from the ceiling. Something massive, with arms like wires, and a face that didn't move. It didn't blink. It didn't speak. But it breathed. The sound filled the tank, the room, the station, the stars. Mara screamed. The implant answered. Her spine twisted. Her body slammed backward into the control panel. Sparks flew. She gasped, but her lungs didn't work. Her mouth opened, but no air came. Still, she was breathing, just not with her chest. Her back pulsed, fast and heavy. Her nerves lit up like fire. The thing inside her was awake. She stumbled forward, her vision blurry. The room spun. Lights blinked across the screens. Code flowed too fast to read. Symbols she didn't understand. Then one message stayed on the screen. Birth in progress. She grabbed the wall, her fingers digging into the steel. Her mouth filled with the taste of blood and dust. Her eyes burned. The stars outside the window moved faster now. Shapes floated between them. Not ships, not rocks, bodies. Thin, long, spines, wide and open. They floated like jellyfish. Their backs opened and closed like mouths, pulling in the black of space. And every time they breathed, she did too. Mara dropped to the floor. Her body shook. Something wet spilled from her back, sliding down her spine. Not blood, thicker, clear. It hissed on the metal like acid. She didn't move, couldn't. The voice in her head whispered now, calmer, lower. You gave us lungs. You carried the first breath. You will not be alone. The screen blinked again. This time, a face appeared. Her face, but older, eyes darker, skin gray. The mouth didn't move, but it spoke. We remember being human. Mara tried to crawl. Her arms didn't work right. Her fingers bent the wrong way. She felt her spine lift, then stretch. Her ribs cracked as something inside pushed up. Her shirt tore. The skin on her back peeled like paper, and from beneath it, something opened. Her back was breathing, not her. Lungs? Not anymore. The final alert echoed through the ship. Conversion complete. Outside the window, the stars opened wider,